Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Break Time Conversations, a YouTube channel where I have conversations around education. I have been a teacher all my life, and along my journey, I have met so many interesting and inspiring people. And so I decided to document my conversations with them here so that you too can hear their stories and the amazing work that they do. I'm here today with Ritu Lamba. She's an educator. She has been in the field of education for 14 years with a focus on literacy and pedagogy. She's also the founder of Things Education. And this organization's main area of focus is making education research accessible to everyone, especially teachers. So a lot of this translates into teacher professional development. Ritu, thank you so much for being here, and it's such a pleasure to have you here on this platform.
Thank you for having me, Anita.
Ritu, let's start off this conversation by you telling us about your journey and how you got into the field of education and how you founded Things Education.
Sure. My journey in education actually started when I was really young. I I grew up in Pune, where I worked as a volunteer and then an instructor for an organization that led wildlife and adventure camps across India. So I worked with them, and I worked with little kids and teenagers. Um, so after my graduation, I did the Teach for India Fellowship for 2 years, where your entire perception of the world changes once you do that fellowship. And because reading and stories have been a very big part of my life, one of the things that really stuck with me was that children in these schools were not able to derive any sort of joy from stories because they just didn't understand what they were reading. So through that fellowship, literacy became a very important area of focus for me. Um, and after that, I worked in Exceed Education, educational initiatives on their curriculum teams and learned a lot of skills of pedagogy and literacy and so on. Um, yeah, and then I did my master's in education, which really sort of made everything very formal and clear to me. Post which I started Things Education.
Wow, lovely. So you say stories and literacy. I love that. That's everything that I love too. And especially when you work with little children, this is such an important area. So, what exactly does Things Education do? So, do you support other organizations, or what exactly do you do?
So we like you also said right in the beginning, one of our main areas of focus is making education research accessible to everyone, especially teachers, because research is extremely dense to read, very expensive often to even access, and not really easy to translate into something that you can do in the classroom. And through my entire the last 12, 14 years in education, and my co-founder who also has a long journey in education, both of us really enjoy reading. We read a lot of research. We saw over the years that this research was really translating into one, making us more confident in whatever we were doing, whether it was interacting with students or writing curriculum or assessments, and making it very clear why some things work and why some things don't. So during the pandemic, when the edtech boom happened, and we saw that a lot of new work that was happening in education was going further away from research than before, we wanted to do something that would make this research available to everyone. And one of the best ways to do that is to make it easy to read and give teachers ways to implement it in the classroom. And that's what we started off with during the right in the beginning of the pandemic. Um, Over the past couple of years, it's gone in many different ways. Our focus is still teacher professional development, but we've worked with different organizations on their curriculum. We're currently helping a few schools develop their foundational curriculum. We worked on assessment projects with the MP government. We've done some CBSE projects. So it's gone in a lot of different ways because we really enjoy doing all things education, which is why our name is perfect, but with the focus on making sure that everything we do is research backed.
That's amazing. When you talk about all of this, in the current group of schools that I'm working with, it's so interesting to see that, even leadership has no idea about the importance of this foundational literacy. I was so blessed to have done my Montessori education and, worked in schools and interacted with people who helped me realize the importance of this. Otherwise, I'm sure the most people don't really understand this, right? So, and I recently did a course on Firki on foundational literacy, which really, really, really helped. So, would you like to tell us more about this? The curriculum that you write for schools, on foundational literacy, because that is such a need of the hour right now. So please tell us more about this.
Our foundational learning program, it takes into consideration all the domains of learning, right from cognitive to language, numeracy, gross motor, fine motor, social, emotional, ethical. So we've started from there, and we have very detailed frameworks of learning outcomes that are aligned to all of these milestones and the developmental stages that children go through. When we say foundation literacy, we are actually foundation learning, sorry, we're actually starting from age 2 and not age 6. Um, I know that age 2 to 6 is usually called early childhood education, and then after that is foundation. But when we are saying foundation, we're actually starting right from age 2. Um, Specifically within that, again, we've made sure that um, all of the learning that happens, everything that children do, is extremely hands-on and extremely multisensory. Because I mean, as a Montessori educator, you also know that just listening or just playing on a tab is not going to really lead to any sort of it won't lead to fine motor development, social emotional development, language, numeracy. All of these things need very hands-on work, a lot of play and a lot of fun. So our curriculum is built around that. That's the overall picture. Specifically, talking about how we've structured, for example, the literacy part of it, we we've made sure that we've taken into consideration again how development happens in terms of reading. Till what age children should definitely be doing oral language activities that should go on throughout. Uh, when we should start exposing them to letters, when we should start exposing them to learning letter sounds, writing letter sounds, in what order those letters and letter sounds should go, and so on. And similarly, with the writing program that we were discussing earlier, when are kids able to hold crayons or crayon rocks? At what age should they be moving on to triangular crayons, pencils? What kind of grip? How do you make sure that their grip is right? What kind of fine motor activities should they do to ensure that their fingers are able to do these sort of things? So we're taking into consideration all of that and creating very simple activity. I mean, all of it sounds really like a lot for teachers to handle, but that's just the back end. When we give it to teachers, they're very simple things that kids can do with clay, with string, with sprays, and all of that to just build these different skills. Very simple worksheets and coloring. So that's generally our entire foundation learning program from 2 to 6.
That's brilliant and so in depth. I love how you've thought of all the smallest details, which is so it's so overlooked most times. So, Ritu, is this program, is it a standalone program? Like suppose a school, signs up with you. Does it complement or supplement another textbook or whatever, or is this a program on its own?
Um, it is a program that so we've built it in a modular way, which means that if a school wants just the curriculum and not textbooks, it will still align with their textbooks in the sense that our all of our skills are textbook agnostic. So teachers can find a way to align it with their storybooks and so on, and we can definitely help with that. We also have our storybooks that we give teachers. We have worksheets that we give schools. If they don't want it, that's fine. But we will definitely highly recommend not following the, starting with A and then moving on to Z, for example, with phonics and with writing. We have a specific sequence that we'll recommend. So it's very modular. And then we've also broken the program down into things like just literacy, just foundational numeracy, just early writing. And so if school wants just that program, we give them just those resources.
That makes sense. That's lovely that you've given the option of just writing or just that's a good start also for most schools, because most parents, they want to see that textbook, they want to see the child writing. It's very sad, like even if you try to be innovative in your school, you have parents saying, why are there no exams, why are they not writing? They don't believe that play is important. Ritu, this has been so insightful. Thank you so much. Do you have any, you know, parting words before we end this conversation? Something that you would like to tell everyone about the importance of foundational literacy or foundational learning or whatever?
I think not just foundational, but for education as a whole, letting kids do things with their hands, letting them play and talk to others and talk to their teachers is far more important than them learning how to code or to use a laptop or uh, learn independently using an app. So it's, I mean, yes, educational technology has made things a lot easier and there are a lot of benefits to it, but just letting kids be kids is one of the best ways to help them learn. So that's what I'd like to end with.
That is brilliant. Thank you so much, Ritu, and all the best with Things Education. And I hope that you will be able to reach far and wide, because this everyone needs to know more about foundational learning and about education in general. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Ritu.
much. Thank you.
Bye for now.
See you.